His name is Sir Lindsay Hoyle, Speaker of the House of Commons, the most senior parliamentary officer in the land. The man whose entire purpose is to ensure Parliament operates fairly, impartially, by the rules. He is supposed to have no political allegiance whatsoever. There's just one problem. He's actually a Labour MP. And the evidence suggests he still acts like one. When Boris Johnson was Prime Minister, Hoyle intervened repeatedly at PNQs, on camera, repeatedly interrupting Johnson mid-answer, ordering him to sit down, reminding him on the record, more than once, that it was Prime Minister's questions and he had a duty to answer.
Prime Minister, there are questions and sometimes we've got to try and answer the question to what was asked of you. The Prime Minister, Ofsted, was not the question. I'm not interested in what they put on the agenda. I'm more interested in you answering the question. Yes, just a moment. I'll have a little less shouting from the side. Just to remind the Prime Minister, it's Prime Minister's questions. It isn't about the agenda of the last general election. Keir Starmer.
He was relentless. Fast forward to today, Keir Starmer stands at that same dispatch box every week. He doesn't answer questions either. He's become quite famous for it. Reform MPs recently walked out in protest. MPs have complained to Hoyle, and members of the public have written to him asking why he allows Starmer to evade, deflect and dodge every single question put to him. It makes Prime Minister's questions a complete farce and waste of time. Hoyle's response? I'm not responsible for the answers. I have no power. He said it twice. Different Prime Minister, different rules. But what Hoyle did to Parliament itself, that's where this gets truly alarming. It was February 2024. Keir Starmer was just months away from becoming Prime Minister. The SNP had called a vote in Parliament on an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. It was their legal right, one of the very few opposition days they are granted each year to bring their own motion to the floor. But there was a problem for Starmer. Dozens of his own Labour MPs were ready to back the SNP motion. It was going to be a massive, humiliating public rebellion, early in his leadership when he could least afford it. So someone made a phone call. What happened next broke a parliamentary convention that had stood for decades. Hoyle, the supposedly neutral speaker, intervened. He allowed Labour to table their own amendment to the SNP's motion. This had no precedent. In fact, under the rules, only the government can amend an opposition party's motion, not another opposition party. That is the rule. That has always been the rule. His own chief advisor, the Clerk of the House, the most senior parliamentary procedure expert in the entire country, warned him in writing that the move had no precedent in 25 years. It would break long-established convention. It was totally improper. Hoyle completely ignored him. And here's what that achieved. Labour got to vote on their own watered-down version of the motion, which passed. The SNP's original motion, the one they were legally entitled to debate, was never voted on at all. Their entire opposition day, gone, hijacked, used to bail out Starmer. The SNP called it a grubby deal, hatched in Starmer's office and sealed in the Speaker's. Parliament's own Leader of the House said Hoyle had hijacked the debate and undermined the confidence of the entire House. 64 MPs signed a motion of no confidence in him. He apologised, twice, then offered the SNP an emergency debate to make it right. Then cancelled that too, which baffled the SNP, and the scandal just went away. Now, let's talk about the money. While Rachel Reeves was telling pensioners there was no money for winter fuel, while disabled people were being stripped of benefits, while small businesses were being crushed by a jobs tax, Sir Lindsay Hoyle was spending your money like it was his own personal fortune. £275,000 in just 2 years, on foreign travel alone, 19 overseas trips, first class, always first class, even for short hops to Dublin and Italy. His predecessor, John Bercow, took 10 full years to run up the same bill. Hoyle did it in 2. Qatar, Australia, Los Angeles, the Cayman Islands, Jakarta, Singapore, Tokyo, Jordan, Montserrat, where he chartered a private plane, Ottawa, where he stayed at the Fairmont Chateau Laurier at nearly £900 a night. And when the chauffeur-driven car wasn't enough in Los Angeles, he also ran up a separate £270 tab on the local taxi app. One subsistence bill at the five-star St Regis in Doha, £811. A single meal and drinks in Verona, £400. A room at the G7 Speakers Conference, £630 a night. And when he came home, £7 million of your money spent refurbishing Speaker's house, more than £1 million a year since he took office. New mattresses for his official bed, £7,500, cosmetic wall mirrors, silverware. And then, because apparently that wasn't enough of a monument to himself, he commissioned an official portrait, painted over 16 months by a critically acclaimed artist, at a cost to you, the taxpayer, of £50,000. £50,000 for a painting of himself, hanging permanently in his official residence, while pensioners were choosing between heating and eating. And then, just weeks ago, something even murkier. Lord Peter Mandelson, former Labour grandee, friend of Starmer, former UK ambassador to Washington, was arrested by the Metropolitan Police, suspected of passing sensitive government information to Jeffrey Epstein. Mandelson's lawyers were furious. They said the arrest was completely unjustified, that their client had already agreed to be questioned voluntarily, that the arrest happened because of one thing, a tip-off to police that Mandelson was about to flee the country. That tip-off came from Sir Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House of Commons, supposed to be above politics, supposed to be neutral. He was in the Caribbean at the time, on yet another taxpayer-funded trip to the British Virgin Islands, the very place Mandelson was allegedly about to flee to. He says he passed the information in good faith. Mandelson called it complete fiction. The Metropolitan Police, embarrassed by the chaos, later apologised to Hoyle for revealing he was their source. Nobody has explained where Hoyle got his information. Nobody has explained why the Speaker of the House of Commons was receiving intelligence about a Labour peer's alleged travel plans. Nobody has explained who told him, or why. So, let's put this together. A Speaker who hammered Boris Johnson at PMQs, but tells Starmer's critics he can't be responsible for the answers. A Speaker who secretly colluded to rig a parliamentary vote, breaking 25 years of convention, overruling his own chief advisor's written warning, and handing Starmer a lifeline he hadn't earned and didn't deserve. A Speaker who spent £275,000 of your money on first-class travel, chauffeurs, and five-star hotels in 2 years, racking up the same bill in 24 months that his predecessor took a decade to accumulate. A Speaker who spent £7 million refurbishing his official residence, £7,500 on his own mattresses, and £50,000 on a portrait of himself, while pensioners froze. And a Speaker who, from the Caribbean, passed information that triggered the arrest of a Labour grandee, information of unknown origin, from an unknown source, that turned out, according to Mandelson, to be fiction. He is supposed to be the most impartial man in British politics. Ask yourself, does any of this really look impartial to you? This is what they won't tell you, UK. Please like, share and subscribe, because somebody has to say this out loud. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.